Hello there everyone and welcome back to Your Scapegoat. If you follow me on Twitter, which, if you don't, what are you even doing with your life, honestly? You know that I've been tweeting about the Catalan independence referendum. Now, if you are unaware about what the Catalan independence referendum is, basically there is a region in the northeast of Spain called Catalonia, and for a very long time they have been wanted to become independent from the rest of Spain, kind of similar to how Scotland wants to be independent from the United Kingdom. And recently, Catalonia is kind of semi-autonomous, so they have their own parliament, kind of like how in the United States, states have their own state houses, state congresses. They have a state senate and a state house of representatives. It's kind of like that. Only Spain is not a federation like the US is or like Russia is. It is a unitary republic, which means that essentially all power comes from the central government. It is not a union of several governments. It is one central government that kind of gives privileges to certain states when it feels like it. Now, for most countries, this works fine. For bigger countries like Russia and the United States, it's almost a necessity to have a federation because it can be quite difficult to manage an entire country like that with a single central government. So that is why when the Soviet Union was created, it was a federation of states, and actually each state, each union state, the Russian state, the Ukrainian state, the Belarusian state, etc., had their own subdivisions that were also kind of semi-autonomous. Like in the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic had numerous autonomous oblasts, kind of like municipalities or kind of like sub-states that kind of were doing their own thing, but under the sovereignty of the Russian Soviet Federative Republic, which was then at a higher level a part of the Soviet Union, which was this federation binding it all together. Now, Spain is not a federation, and you may think, well, Spain isn't that big, it's not a huge country like Russia. Well, Spain is quite ethnically diverse. It has quite a few different ethnic and cultural groups within it. The Galicians, the Basque people, the Catalans. Basically what I'm trying to say is Spain is a very diverse country. It has lots of different people groups within it that I believe to some degree deserve some autonomy, and Spain as well also believes that because they have given autonomy. Quite a lot of autonomy has been given to the Basque country, but not as much has been given to the Catalan country. So almost immediately when the Catalan Parliament, I believe is the preferred adjective, the Catalan Parliament had decided to hold a referendum a few months in advance. Right at the beginning, Spain said, no, you can't. You're not allowed. You can't hold a referendum. It is illegal. It is illegal to hold a referendum. If you do hold a referendum, it won't be binding. It won't mean anything. It will be, it won't be worth, it won't count. Even if 100% of the people in Catalonia vote yes, it won't count. That's what Spain said. And Catalonia said, well, we're going to hold a referendum anyway, right? Because we want to be independent from Spain, and so the opinion of Spain shouldn't really matter, right? If we want to be independent, we should be independent. And so the referendum was finding out, do the people of Catalonia want to be independent? As we find out later, 90% of them voted yes, but we'll get to that. Some months pass and the referendum is actually held. Well, the day comes when it is supposed to be held. Voting locations, polling booths, and voting counters and all of the things that you have in your regular elections are prepared, and everything is ready for just normal day of a referendum. If you live in a democratic country, referendums aren't that unheard of. But things didn't turn out as they were supposed to. The Spanish police showed up, and the Spanish, for lack of a better word, the Spanish National Guard showed up, as well as I believe the Spanish secret police were also involved. Not the Spanish military, but the Spanish police showed up in riot gear, which is, I mean, almost comparable to military gear. I mean, bulletproof vests and these giant helmets and shields and batons and everything, or the standard stuff. They showed up in riot gear. They broke into voting locations, by breaking the windows and forcing open doors and that kind of thing. Went into, the locales where the voting was supposed to be taking place, and they seized the ballot boxes. They took the boxes in which you would place your vote, and they just took them to be discarded, to be thrown away, to be burnt, whatever. And they took, the voting ballots from people. And if people resisted, if people were trying to stop the police from taking these ballot boxes, they were beaten heavily. There are numerous pictures. I won't show them in this video because they're quite gruesome, and obviously, fucking YouTube won't let me put ads on this video. It will be not advertiser friendly if I put up those kinds of pictures, but quite gruesome pictures of police beating up, old ladies who just wanted to vote in an election, and just beating up people in general and punching people, throwing people downstairs and all kinds of things to stop them from voting. And the police started blocking off voting locations, forming, shield or like human shields around the location so that people couldn't get in. People started protesting, and the police started, retaliating, hitting back. And there are these huge clashes with police, police marching toward protesters, and then the firefighters of Catalonia, the local firefighters, actually started protecting the voters, because the firefighters of Catalonia are of course sworn to protect the people of Catalonia. That is what they are employed to do. I mean, mainly they're employed to fight fires, but in this case there weren't any fires to put out, and so what they did was they started forming human shields around protesters, protecting Catalan people from Spanish police. Because the police that were sent in were not from Catalonia. The police that were sent in were from other regions in Spain. The police force in Catalonia, the Catalan police force, refused to do anything. They refused to help the Spanish police. And this kind of solidified the idea that, well, Catalonia is independent. Catalonia is a different thing from Spain, because Spain is sending in police, from other regions of Spain, from Madrid, which is, hundreds of miles away, to Catalonia to beat up old ladies who try to vote. And Catalan firefighters are protecting these Catalan old ladies trying to vote. So, why is this important? Well, Catalonia is culturally and ethnically and language-wise, they have their own language, the Catalan language. They are very different from Spain. And for a long time, actually since the fall of the fascist dictatorship in Spain, which started after the Spanish Civil War in 1936. And ever since the end of this fascist dictatorship, there have been independence movements growing in Catalonia. And the one that's relevant today is one mainly fueled by taxes. Catalonia pays a lot in taxes, and those taxes go to Spain, to the rest of Spain. And very little of the taxes that Catalonians pay actually go to fund, Catalonian police, Catalonian firefighters, Catalonian hospitals and schools, building Catalan roads, etc. And so the Catalan people are feeling like, if we're going to pay taxes, we're going to pay so much in taxes, it should be going to things that help us, right? It shouldn't be going to Spain, it shouldn't be going to Madrid, right? Madrid can tax their own people, but we're Catalans, and if we pay taxes, they should go to Catalonia. But Catalonia has been singled out as one of the few, as one of the regions that have to pay a lot of taxes but don't get very much in return. And Catalonia is a very rich region, which is kind of why Spain wants to keep Catalonia as a part of Spain, because makes them money, and Spain likes money. Spain is a member of the European Union. They're quite conservative, and obviously, they love capitalism, and so the thing they love the most is money. And if they had to choose between people's happiness and money, they'd choose money. And that is why they sent in the Spanish police force to beat up old ladies. So, why do I care about this? This is something going on in Spain, right? This is a Spanish thing, isn't it? Well, that's what most people are saying. If you look at what, the official ambassadors and that kind of thing are saying, from Estonia or from Lithuania, I believe, were one of them, from China, from, France, Germany, from the EU in general. Basically, what everyone says is, oh, well, we don't really care. Basically what they all say is, this is an internal Spanish matter. This is internal Spanish politics. This doesn't affect us. We don't care about this. But not too long ago, some 17 years ago, was in the early 2000s, the Yugoslav wars were happening in Yugoslavia, which, if you're young, you may not remember. Yugoslavia was once a country. Yes, Yugoslavia was once a country, and it was a federation consisting of Serbia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Slovenia, and also Srpska, but that wasn't really, that was a part of Croatia, kind of. And when that was happening, all of Europe was rallied under this banner of freedom and democracy and the right to choose for yourself and the right to gain independence if the people want it. And even the United States of America was getting involved, and they were saying, Bill Clinton back then was saying, the people of Croatia, the people of Bosnia, the people of Slovenia, they want independence and they shall have independence. And then he started bombing Yugoslavia because Yugoslavia was saying, no, you can't be independent, you have to be part of Yugoslavia. Now, obviously, Yugoslavia was a federation and Spain is an independent unitary republic. So it's a bit different, I think, because Yugoslavia was actually giving rights and kind of almost half sovereignty to these, independent members of Yugoslavia, these union states. Whereas Spain, everything is at the mercy of the central government of Spain because it is a unitary republic. And so, if anything, what's happening in Catalonia and in Spain at the moment is more unjust than what was happening in Yugoslavia 17 years ago. And yet, back then, all of the politicians of the world, of Germany, even in Sweden, here in Sweden where I live, in pretty sure probably in Spain as well, and in France, and the entire EU was rallied behind this idea of, well, we have to break up Yugoslavia, we have to, because the people there demand it. But now, when the people of Catalonia, 90% of them, demand independence from Spain, it's an internal match of Spain, why should we be getting involved in this? But they had to get involved in Yugoslavia. They had to bomb Yugoslavia. A lot of people died in the Yugoslav wars. No one's bombing Spain. I wonder why. What is the difference between Spain today and Yugoslavia back then? Well, Spain is a member of the EU, so obviously Germany and France want, the EU members want Spain to be stable, be rich, to be wealthy, so that they can pay their European Union membership fees, so that they can be part of the European single market. Just in general, they don't want conflict within the European Union because it looks bad. It hurts international relations. Yugoslavia was socialist. It was a market socialist or Titoist, and they were not a member of the European Union. And if you're socialist and you're not a member of the EU, you don't matter. They will bomb you, they will invade you, they will do everything in their power to break you up, to bring you down, so that you cannot influence the politics of any other country, so that you cannot inspire socialist revolutions anywhere else. But of course they do it in the name of freedom and democracy. What I'm essentially saying is that the EU members, especially Germany and France, are massive hypocrites. They claim to be fighting for freedom and democracy, and yet they attacked Yugoslavia in order to break it up and to form new independent countries because, you know, they had the right to be independent, but now Catalonia does not? The answer is they do. Catalonia do have the right to be independent if they so choose. And if they want to hold a referendum that is legally binding, and if it wins, then Catalonia becomes an independent republic, then so be it. And the same goes for Yugoslavia. If a union member of any federation, really all federations should be confederations. Confederation meaning a confederation is the same as a federation, only you can leave if you want to. If a union republic chooses to leave, it may, right? And I believe all federations should be like that. I believe that if a member of a federation wants to leave, and if the majority of the population in that union state votes that yes, we need to leave, like we want to leave, then they should, and they have the right to do that. And that is why I believe that Catalonia has the right to do it now, and why countries like Croatia and Bosnia, the ex-members of the Yugoslavia, had the right to leave then. And it's why I believe that the European Union, if they intervened in Yugoslavia in order to bring independence to all of those countries, I believe that they should intervene in Spain now. Because, again, Spain is a unitary republic. It's not a federation. And even though Catalonia has, quite a bit of independence, they are not, any state within a federation, right? They're not at that level of autonomy yet. And so I believe quite firmly that if the European Union is worth its salt, if the European Union is worth anything, if the European Union truly does defend freedom and democracy and human rights and the human right to choose to be independent if you so choose, then I believe that they should be intervening in Spain right now. But they're not. No country is. Everyone is just saying, well, it's just an internal matter of Spain. I don't know why we should be caring about this. The answer, you should be caring about this. It's about democracy, and it's about human rights, and it's a bit about police brutality. Because, as soon as Catalonia wants to do something that Spain doesn't agree with, they send in the fucking riot police and beat up old ladies, and that's just not right. That's the rant. That's the rant over. I just wanted to talk about that for a bit. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you later.